What's it like being a black conservative in America? Nobody better ask this question than you.
Honestly, it's a hell of a lot easier than it was when I first got into this back in 2015, because that was the first time they saw Trump, and people just could not see past how could this possibly happen. And I think the media had a stronger hold on people's minds then than it does now. Now we've seen the explosion of independent media. People are able to get their voices out outside of the New York Times and CNN and Fox News, and that's helped tremendously to defeat all of these media caricatures that are being created. But I find it now, it's pioneering, to put it in a nice way. And I think it's the most rewarding thing ever when what I have found is that if you just stand for truth, even in the beginning when it's really hard and people say terrible things about you, and I've been called everything you could possibly imagine, then there's that moment, even if it takes years, where they do come back and they say you were right, particularly about BLM. I mean, I was hitting the drum about the finances so early, and I'm going, I'm not saying that you don't have feelings about this thing, but I am telling you something else is going on. And this is going to harm the Black community in the end. This money is just going to be zapped out of communities, and communities are going to be destroyed. And then when that was proven right, it was so refreshing to hear people say, yeah, we kind of hated her for a really long time. We're kind of saying this for a really long time. And then, the fraud of Patrisse Cullors and what they were doing with the money. And so my brain just works differently. I am different, and I'm happy being different. I don't want to be the same. But I also do respect, I think I've learned in the process as well, is to just respect where people are at.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith, somebody that I have been talking about a lot more than I would like to, and mainly because Stephen A. has been in the news because he has been dragging the Democrats. He's been using the fact that his name is a serious name for somebody that could run as a Democrat in 2028 because the party is so bad, right? So he's been using himself as an example of why the Democrat Party currently sucks, right? So that's why he has been making a lot of news, okay? Because, again, there are serious conversations about whether or not he is going to run for president and would he be a valuable candidate.
The Democratic field in 2028 could have the party looking for their own version of Donald Trump. Strategists say there's never been a better time for a political outsider to succeed. I guess they mean it like that. And they're throwing names around like billionaire Mark Cuban and sports commentator Stephen A. Smith, who was on the other day. I personally would like to see Ana Navarro and Cha-Cha running. I think Cha-Cha will be a very good vice president, better than Vance. Question, should Democrats...
she was actually born a lap dog, didn't turn into one.
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay, should Democrats consider any and all options?
No. I mean, we have an outsider in the White House right now, and look how well it's going. It's just, Stephen A. Smith at least admitted here.
He talks too fast. I can't follow him.
Well, he admitted, although the bar is pretty low in terms of who would be qualified to be the president of the United States, he admitted that he is unqualified.
And I've got to defend Stephen A. Smith here. I don't think that I'm not a Democrat, so I shouldn't even tell you. He knows how to communicate, though, and that is what is missing. There's a reason tens of millions of people. That's not what I'm saying, but tens of millions of people listen to him because he knows how to talk like a human being. Democrats just want to give their stump speeches like it's the 1990s and press conferences with no one there, and they think it's going to beat Donald Trump, and it's not.
I would love a return to Windows 98 versus what we are dealing with right now. I would love that.
I'm an AI girl.
I would love that.
Window, any type of window sounds better than the padded room we're in.
Yeah, so Stephen A. has admitted that he is not qualified to be president. And I believe him, okay, because this conversation with Candace Owens, I think, is a great example why Stephen A. is not qualified. Stephen A. is the type of guy where he doesn't have any real beliefs, okay? I mean, this is the same guy that claimed that he's a big fan of Bernie Sanders and that his politics align with Bernie Sanders. Now, all of a sudden, he's an enlightened centrist. But the reality is this, okay? Stephen A. is a blowhard who just says whatever he believes that people want to hear, okay? And he wants to not sound extreme. He wants to try to please everybody, which means that ultimately he will please no one because really Stephen A. doesn't really know all that much. And he'll tell you he doesn't really know all that much. He doesn't have any real convictions, okay? And when he talks about things that, again, he knows that he doesn't know that much about, he just goes with whatever Chris Cuomo or Sean Hannity have told him, right? He clearly has not really done that much research or looked that deeply into a topic to form an opinion, but for whatever reason, he has an opinion. And, this is something that I think will be revealed because Candace Owens is going to blow his mind with some very basic facts about Volodymyr Zelensky, okay, in reaction to Stephen A. Asking her about her opinion on what happened in the White House. Okay, Zelensky got kicked out by President Trump and J.D. Vance after he was disrespectful to President Trump in the White House. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Back to Trump in this regard, we just saw it. That world just saw. It wasn't a press conference or anything like that. I don't call it that. Him with Ukrainian President Zelensky and how he went at him and what have you. Now, Zelensky, if I remember correctly, you didn't speak too highly of him. I want to make sure I'm quoting you accurately. You called him a homosexual actor. Is that true? Did you call him that?
I also just called him the neighborhood crackhead, kind of just goes around asking for money. I've called him a welfare queen, ghetto. This is the thing. The media kind of had me depicted throughout BLM as this person that uses these words to describe black people. I'm like, no. Let's be very clear. When I'm calling somebody like Zelensky a welfare queen, there's a reason for that. You come here with your hand out, asking, making demands. It's funny because I was having a discussion with my husband about this. And, it's people that tend to need the most that make these sorts of demands, and they're so arrogant. He's taken billions away, unaccounted billions, by the way. So you and I have to get to work because Zelensky wants his borders protected, and we can't have our borders protected because that would be a racist thing to ask for. But he's allowed to demand that you and I get to work because he's spent all the billions. His wife is shopping in Paris. The oligarchs in Ukraine are all buying yachts. And yeah, I have absolutely no respect for him, but I want to say I have not respected that man since day one. This is not something that's new. I just saw him coming.
It's not something that's new, but what about Trump and Vance and how they conducted themselves? You and I might disagree on this particular issue because I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of I was on the record saying, listen, you're coming with your hand out. You need money. You might not want to be confrontational. You might want to be a bit more diplomatic, Zelensky, because you're the one that's in need. And Trump wasn't wrong when he said, or you don't have any of the cards. You don't have any of the cards. The flip side to it, however, is that the press conference, you're in the Oval Office. We know this is the White House. This isn't someplace in Ukraine. And he's got broken English, and you got the vice president interrupting him. You got them, I thought, somewhat bullying him to some degree. I just didn't think it was necessary. It was a good look. That's where I'm coming from. Am I wrong in feeling that way?
No, I think you're perfectly, these are your feelings. They're valid, right? If that's how you felt. For me, I felt it was refreshing. I'm so tired of politics. I know they always button it up for us. They're constantly telling us, oh, this, and saying things that sound good, but don't actually result in good things. And I think it was sort of the frustration of how much he has taken from America to not come with some respect. And I likened it to, even when you go to your granddad's house and it's your birthday, your mom kind of makes you wear something special. He's going to give you a card and slip some cash in there, $100. Granddad's always good for that. And you just come with some decorum and some respect. This dude has been wearing military fatigues for like 5 years now, okay? Put on a suit. As soon as he gets out of the car, Trump's like, well, he's dressed up. This should let you know, this should signal to the public that what he's doing is an act. Why? Give me a scenario, a reason why he can't put on a suit. Even if you're in the midst of a war, why can't you put on a suit when you're coming to ask for money? Well, because he wants people to see him as a guy that's downtrodden in the trenches. And he's not that. This guy has been on the cover of Vanity Fair. He's been on the cover of Vogue. He's been on the cover of Forbes. He's doing photo shoots. He did a 3-hour podcast with Lex Friedman. He asked and was declined a spot to go to the Oscars a couple of years ago. And so this is making a mockery.
Damn.
It's just making him put on a suit.
See, this is why people got to be careful about messing with you, because I was getting ready to disagree with you until you threw out those last. I didn't know he tried to go to the Oscars. I didn't know he tried to be on the cover of Vogue. I didn't know that stuff, Candace. I honestly didn't know. Okay, that does change it a little bit.
And he is a literal actor, by the way. You know that,
just,
right?
That I know.
Yeah, see, seeing that, you heard that. Stephen A. Smith, stunned after getting absolutely schooled by Candace Owens on Volodymyr Zelensky. Again, things that I feel like Stephen A. should have known. But again, Stephen A. is the type of guy where he tries to do this thing where he's, he got to make sure that everybody sees him as like unbiased, right? I'm just calling it like it is, right? And it's like, I don't know if you're calling it like it is, okay? Because Zelensky walked up in the White House with his hands out, again, as Candace Owens laid out. No suit on, right? Not showing any respect whatsoever. Try to tell the president of the United States what's going to happen to the United States if we don't give more money to Ukraine, right? Like, what's going to happen to us? I mean, low-key a threat. Low-key, if you don't give me money, then Russia's going to be pulling up on your borders. Like, what? Don't try to tell us what's going to happen to our country. if we don't help you. Again, complete and total disrespect. Stephen A., again, because he's one of these guys that, you know, he doesn't really have his own opinions. His opinions are formed by whatever he thinks the people want to hear, okay, to try to satisfy everybody. Well, I thought that President Trump and J.D. Vance were bullying Zelensky a little bit, right? It's like, no. The bully was not President Trump and J.D. Vance. Zelensky was trying to be a bully, even though, again, he just doesn't have the juice to be a bully, right? His country is way too weak to bully anybody. He tried to bully President Trump and J.D. Vance the same way that he bullied Joe Biden, the Democrats, and the leaders in Europe, right? And President Trump and J.D. Vance let Volodymyr Zelensky know real quick, no. We got the biggest cojones in the room, okay? We have the biggest cojones in the room. You're a little guy, okay? You're a little man compared to this country, compared to us. Don't come up here trying to run your game on us like that, trying to bully us. Hell no. Okay? That's exactly what happened. But again, you know, Stephen A. is the type of guy where, you know, hey, he's learning, right? He's learning and his eyes are being opened. And hey, I got to say this, respect to Stephen A. for having Candace Owens on, because he is a product of Disney, right? And for Disney to have on Candace Owens and for him to do that, hey, you know, I got to give him credit where credit is due, okay? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be in his ear, okay, about why is it that you had Candace Owens on the show, that it is unacceptable. She's not black. She's a white supremacist. She's anti-Semitic. These are the things that they'll say, right? He will get a whole lot of backlash for it. So, hey, I got to give him a little bit of credit for at least having her on and having his mind blown with just basic facts about Volodymyr Zelensky that, again, he wouldn't hear in a conversation with Sean Hannity or Chris Cuomo. But, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.